The race session is at DDM GTS Tsukuba. Steve Jr is first. Longi is P2. Etanek is P3. Speed Racer is 4th. Kerry Smith is 5th. SMC 535 is P6. Huggy is 7th. Toby Saya is 8th. Exiled Reaper is P9. Twisted Vine is P10. Lethal Force is P11. Steve Jr is first. Race start. Etanek is 3rd. Speed Racer is P5. SMC 535 is 6th. SMC 535 lost 6th to Huggy. SMC 535 passed Huggy for 6th. Huggy is 7th. Lethal Force is P10. Longi on lap 2 is 2nd, 0.4 behind Steve Jr. Twisted Vine entering the pits is 11th. SMC 535 is P6, 0.1 behind Speed Racer. Twisted Vine exiting pits. Huggy is P7, 0.5 behind SMC 535. Longi is 2nd, 0.3 behind Steve Jr. Huggy is 7th. Lethal Force is P9, 0.2 behind Exiled Reaper. Lethal Force passed Exiled Reaper for P8. Exiled Reaper is P9. Best lap is a 1:13.350. 2.725 off the fastest lap. Tobisaya is 10th, 0.5 behind Exiled Reaper. Longi is P2, 0.3 behind Steve Ojayer. SMC 535 is P6, 0.5 behind Speed Racer. Tobisaya entering the pits is 10th. Steve Ojayer is P2, 0.1 behind Longi. Steve Ojayer passed Longi for first. Longi is P2, 0.2 behind Steve Ojayer. Tobisaya exiting pits. Kerry Smith is P6, 0.1 behind SMC 535. Kerry Smith passed SMC 535 for 5th. Kerry Smith lost 5th to SMC 535. Huggy is P7, 0.4 ahead of Lethal Force. Lethal Force is 8th, 0.3 behind Huggy. Lethal Force was 1.4 faster last lap. Longi is P2, 0.3 behind Steve Ojayer. Huggy is 7th, 0.4 ahead of Lethal Force. Lethal Force is P8. Best lap is a 1:11.552. 0.927 off the fastest lap. Longi is P2, 0.3 behind Steve Ojayer. Huggy entering the pits is 8th. Lethal Force is 7th, 0.8 behind Kerry Smith. Huggy exiting pits. Longi is 2nd, 0.5 behind Steve Ojayer. Lethal Force is 7th, 0.3 behind Kerry Smith. Longi is 2nd, 0.1 behind Steve Ojayer. Longi passed Steve Ojayer for P1. Steve Ojayer is P2, 0.1 behind Longi.
All right.
SMC 535 is P5, 0.3 behind Speed Racer. Evo Jr is P2, 0.5 behind Longi. SMC 535 is 5th, 0.5 behind Speed Racer. Evo Jr is 2nd, 0.5 behind Longi. SMC 535 on lap 8 is 5th, 0.6 behind Speed Racer. Evo Jr is 2nd, 0.5 behind Longi. SMC 535 is P5, 0.5 behind Speed Racer. Evo Jr is P2, 0.3 behind Longi. SMC 535 is 5th. Best lap is a 1:11.098. 0.473 off the fastest lap. Evo Jr is 2nd, 0.4 behind Longi. SMC 535 is 5th, 0.2 behind Speed Racer. SMC 535 passed Speed Racer for P4. Speed Racer is 5th, 0.1 behind SMC 535. Lethal Force is P6, 0.5 behind Speed Racer. Evo Jr is 2nd, 0.6 behind Longi. Speed Racer is P6 battling Lethal Force. Kerry Smith entering the pits is P9. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.5 ahead of Speed Racer. Kerry Smith exiting pits. Twisted Vine is 11th, 0.5 behind Kerry Smith. Twisted Vine was 5.1 faster last lap. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.5 behind SMC 535. Evo Jr is P2, 0.9 behind Longi. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.4 behind SMC 535. Evo Jr is 2nd, 0.8 behind Longi. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.7 behind SMC 535. Evo Jr is 2nd, 0.9 behind Longi. Lethal Force is P5, 0.4 behind SMC 535. Evo Jr is P2, 1.4 behind Longi. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.4 behind SMC 535. Evo Jr is 2nd, 1.2 behind Longi. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.2 behind SMC 535. Evo Jr is 2nd, 1.2 behind Longi. Lethal Force is P5, 0.4 behind SMC 535. Speed Racer is P6, 1.0 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force is P5, 0.4 behind SMC 535. Stevo Jair is P2, 0.8 behind Longi. Lethal Force is P5, 0.4 behind SMC 535. Stevo Jair is second, 0.9 behind Longi. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.2 behind SMC 535. Stevo Jair is second. Best lap is a 1:10.449. Lethal Force is P5, 0.3 behind SMC 535. Stevo Jair entering the pits is P2. Exiled Reaper is P8, 1.2 behind Huggy. Stevo Jair exiting pits. Lethal Force is P5, 0.5 behind SMC 535. SMC 535 is 4th, 0.5 behind Stevo Jair. Exiled Reaper entering the pits is 8th. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.5 behind SMC 535. Exiled Reaper exiting pits. SMC 535 is P4, 0.6 ahead of Lethal Force. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.8 behind SMC 535. SMC 535 is 4th, 0.7 ahead of Lethal Force. Stevo Jair is 3rd, 0.5 behind Etnick. Stevo Jair passed Etnick for P2. Etnick entering the pits is P4. Lethal Force is 4th, 0.5 behind SMC 535. SMC 535 is 3rd, 0.8 ahead of Lethal Force. Etnick exiting pits. SMC 535 is now P2. Lethal Force is P3, 0.9 behind SMC 535. Speed Racer is 4th, 3.1 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force is 3rd, 0.8 behind SMC 535. Speed Racer on lap 21 is 4th, 3.2 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force is 3rd, 0.5 behind SMC 535. Kerry Smith is 8th, 3.4 behind Toby Saya. Lethal Force is P3, 0.5 behind SMC 535. Longi entering the pits is P1. Longi exiting pits. Kerry Smith is 8th, 3.3 behind Toby Saya. Lethal Force is P3, 0.3 behind SMC 535. Kerry Smith is 8th, 3.2 behind Toby Saya. Lethal Force is 3rd, 0.3 behind SMC 535. Lethal Force entering the pits is P3. Toby Saya is 7th, 3.1 ahead of Kerry Smith. Steve Jr. entering the pits is 11th. Lethal Force is P4. Lethal Force exiting pits. Steve Jr. exiting pits. Lethal Force lost P4 to Etonic. Kerry Smith is 8th. Best lap is a 1:11.219. 0.770 off the fastest lap. SMC 535 entering the pits is second. SMC 535 is P2. Exiled Reaper is P9. Lethal Force is 5th, 0.4 behind Edenic. Lethal Force is now P4. SMC 535 exiting pits. Huggy is P6, 2.3 behind SMC 535. Huggy was 3.5 faster last lap. Lethal Force on lap 25 is 4th, 0.7 behind Edenic. Huggy is 6th, 2.3 behind SMC 535. Lethal Force on lap 26 is 4th, 0.5 behind Edenic. Huggy is 6th, 2.9 behind SMC 535. Huggy was 26.8 faster last lap. Lethal Force is P4, 0.5 behind Edenic. Huggy is 6th, 2.2 behind SMC 535. Lethal Force is P4. Best lap is a 1:10.850. 0.498 off the fastest lap. Kerry Smith is P8, 3.1 behind Toby Saya. Lethal Force is P4, 0.7 behind Edenic. Kerry Smith is 8th, 2.5 behind Toby Saya. Lethal Force is P4. Steve Ogier entering the pits is P11. Kerry Smith is P8, 3.5 behind Toby Saya. Steve Ogier exiting pits. Lethal Force is P4, 1.3 behind Etonic. Kerry Smith is P8, 3.7 behind Toby Saya. Lethal Force is P4, 1.4 behind Etonic. Huggy is 6th, 4.6 behind SMC 535. Speed Racer entering the pits is 2nd. Speed Racer exiting pits. Etonic is P3, 0.5 behind Speed Racer. Speed Racer is P3 battling Etonic. Etonic was 5.3 faster last lap. Speed Racer passed Etonic for 2nd. Etonic is 3rd, 0.2 behind Speed Racer. Lethal Force is P3, 0.2 ahead of Speed Racer. Lethal Force was 5.3 faster last lap. Speed Racer on lap 32 is 4th, 1.4 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force is P3, 0.4 behind Etonic. Speed Racer on lap 32 is P4, 1.3 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force is third, 0.5 behind Eatnik. Speed Racer is P4, 2.1 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force is third, 0.3 behind Eatnik. Speed Racer is fourth, 2.2 behind Lethal Force. Lethal Force was 0.6 faster last lap. Lethal Force on lap 34 is P3, 0.5 behind Eatnik. Speed Racer is P4. Best lap is a 1:11.409. 1.067 off the fastest lap. Speed Racer is now P3. Eatnik is P4, 1.6 behind Speed Racer. SMC 535 is P5, 1.7 behind Eatnik. The leader has just finished the race. Longi finished P1. Steve Jair finished 11th. Exiled Reaper finished 9th. Lethal Force finished P2. Speed Racer finished P3. Eatnik finished P4. SMC 535 finished 5th. Huggy finished 6th. Twisted Vine finished 10th. Toby Saya finished P7. Kerry Smith finished P8.